Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to say marriage vows in English-speaking countries. How to say marriage vows in English-speaking countries. Now, this question came from a student of mine on Udemy, and he asked me, what does it mean when people are talking at weddings in English? I've seen American movies, and they always say lots of English words that I don't really understand, and then they get married, right? And that's very true, okay? And actually, sometimes a lot of native English speakers, if you really asked them, what do the words mean when people are speaking at a wedding, they probably wouldn't be able to explain all of it to you. And the reason is because, a wedding is such an ancient tradition, and the words spoken at a wedding they've been handed down through centuries, which means they've changed a little bit, but a lot of the words have actually stayed the same. And so we can call these words archaic. Archaic. Archaic means old-fashioned or not widely used anymore. So the words at a wedding are often archaic, but not always. Some people like to have weddings with these archaic sentences and vows, and some people like to have the modern version. So we're going to look at some of these different versions in this lesson. The first one that you may have seen many times in movies is from the Roman Catholic Church. Now, remember, the wedding in most English-speaking countries, the weddings are very traditional. And when I say they're very traditional, I mean they come from the Christian tradition. Okay, so a lot of weddings come from the Roman Catholic Church tradition. And the vow goes like this, and I will explain these words to you. But first, let me read it out. So, if I'm talking, I, Gabriel, take you, whatever the woman's name is, to be my wife. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. I will love you and honor you all the days of my life. Now, this is the modern version, and it's not too bad anymore, right? It's not too archaic, I should say. So it means when it says take you, it means I accept you as my wife, to be my wife. Or if the woman is speaking, it's I accept you to be my husband. Okay, I take you to be my husband. I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad. So that means whether you're going through a good time or a bad time, you will be loyal to your partner, to your husband or wife, right? You will not cheat on them. You will not go and sleep with someone else. You will be honest overall, right? In good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. Okay, so that means that if the other person gets sick, then you still have to be loyal to them, okay? And also, if you get sick, they have to be loyal to you. And, of course, you stay loyal to them, whether you're sick or healthy. I will love you and honor you all the days of my life. Okay, so for the rest of my life. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, this is the Roman Catholic Church, but in the USA, they have a Catholic Church that is not always necessarily the Roman Catholic Church. So it's a little bit different. So here it would be, I, Gabriel, take you, blah, 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 to be my lawfully wedded wife. Lawfully wedded wife. So that means that legally, in the law, we are married, right? Wedding, wedded. So if you are wedded to someone, it means you have had a wedding with someone. Same as married, wedded. To have and to hold. Okay, so this is an interesting part of it. And remember that before it was I take you, right? Here it is, I take you, and then to have and to hold. So it's much more of a, you would say, an intimate connection is emphasized here. From this day forward. Okay, so this is from today for the rest of our lives. From this day forward. Forward into the future. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. All right, so for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer. This is the same as in good times and in bad. Okay, whether we have financially good times or financially bad times. Okay, and then in sickness and in health, that's the same thing. Until death do us part. So death, is when you die, and then do us part means until you are separated because someone has died, right? Until death do us part. Now, this is an archaic piece of language. No one these days would really say this in a sentence. Until something do us part. It doesn't make grammatical sense in modern English, so it is archaic. Also, wedded is quite archaic. No one would say this anymore either. And then the priest, right? The person who is marrying them in the Catholic Church, and funnily enough, of course I am not a priest, but when I lived in China, I was given the honor of being the person to actually marry a couple in a wedding. I was, it doesn't have to be a priest in China because it's not a Christian country, right? So, in China, you get married in a hotel. And I was the person who, they wanted a ceremony in English. And I was the person to say the English, the sentences here in order to marry them. And I didn't say this because I said the Chinese version translated into English, which was actually very funny. And I don't remember it completely, but I do remember it was very funny. Anyway, funny story. Yeah, that's what I did at one point many years ago. But the priest in a Catholic church says then, you have declared your consent before the church. May the Lord in his goodness strengthen your consent and fill you both with his blessings. What God has joined, men must not divide. Amen. So what does this mean? You have declared your consent. This means that you have told everyone today that you consent to be married. Consent is that you allow something to happen. If I give you consent to to stay at my house for one night. That means I let you stay in my house for one night. Okay, consent. And if I consent someone to be my wife, then that means I allow her to be my wife. Okay, and she gives me consent to be her husband. Then, okay, and before the church, it means to the church. Again, this is quite archaic to say before the church. You could just say to the church. May the Lord in his goodness, so the Lord in Christianity means the same as God. So may the Lord in his goodness strengthen, make strong your consent and fill you both with his blessings. Now this means that God will give you blessings. It's kind of like a good fortune, okay? So it will make you fortunate. It will make you lucky. I don't want to say lucky because it's more than luck, because it's coming from a divine source, right? It's coming from God. It's not really luck that way. It's more of a blessing, good fortune. So he will give you his blessings. What God has joined, men must not divide. This means do not destroy this marriage, okay? And do not let other people come in and destroy this marriage. This is a sacred partnership God has joined. And then, Amen at the end. This is something that is said at the end of a prayer in Christianity. Now, moving away from Catholicism, moving away from the Catholic Church to the Anglican Church, right? This is the Church of England. I, Gabriel, take you, blah, 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 to be my wife, to have and to hold from this day forward. That's the same. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part. According to God's holy law, in the presence of God, I make this vow. So, very similar, but we add to love and to cherish. Again, this is an intimate relationship. So to cherish is to hold dear in your heart, okay? If I cherish something, it means it's important to me and I value it a lot. I really cherish it. I value it a lot. According to God's holy law, okay, so God's holy law in this case is the law of marriage. It is sacred, it is holy, it is divine. In the presence of God, I make this vow. So it means the same thing as before this church, okay? In the presence of God, God is witnessing this. I make this vow. Now, you can also change it a little bit if you want when you get married in the Anglican Church. So instead of just to love and to cherish, you can actually use something from the older version, which was the case in all of the older versions, I believe. To love, cherish, and obey. So it used to be that you would always say to love, cherish, and obey if you were to obey the other person. Now, we don't think of marriage as needing to obey someone anymore, right? Those days are kind of gone, hopefully, in most places. So it's obedience, it tends to be connected with slavery, right? And we don't want to look at this holy relationship as something where you have someone who is being obedient to the other person, right? Because that's archaic, very archaic. But if you want, you can be traditional even today and use this version. Now, what if you're not religious? Then you can change it too in England and Wales, okay? So in England and Wales, if you are not religious, you can have a civil marriage. This is a marriage for non-religious people. Civil marriage. I do solemnly declare that I know not of any legal impediment why I, Gabriel, may not be joined in matrimony to whoever. Okay, let's go through this. So, declare, this is to say, to promise, okay? This is what is called a speech act. If you declare something, it means that the very act of saying something now, the very act of making a declaration is a promise. It is doing something by saying something, right? And this adverb solemnly, it means in good faith. It means that you promise something. It really emphasizes the declaration, okay? You're doing it with good intention. I do solemnly declare that I know not, right? This is extremely archaic. We would just say, I don't know in conversation, okay? So don't speak like this in conversation. I don't want someone to come to a classroom and say, I know not of my homework. No, okay? Say, I don't know my homework. But in a wedding, you would say, I know not of any legal impediment. This means any legal blockage, any barrier, any reason that I cannot marry this other person. Matrimony is another word for marriage, okay? So I may not be joined in marriage. Joined in matrimony. It means the same thing, matrimony. And then the person would say, I call upon these persons here present to witness that I, Gabriel, do take thee, blah, 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 to be my lawfully wedded wife or husband, right? So this is also archaic. These persons, instead of these people, these persons, it's okay. You can say these persons, but you wouldn't say it in everyday speech, really. It's very formal because you're talking about all of these individuals, okay? It's used in contracts a lot. And marriage is a contract, okay? Present to witness. So do you know what witness means? Witness means to see something with your own eyes. So if you witness, if you see someone killing another person, you are a witness to a crime. If you see two people get married, then you are a witness to their marriage. Okay? And of course, this word, thee, is very archaic. All right? Instead of saying you. Now, you can use a modern alternative in a civil marriage in England and Wales, and that is this. I declare that I know of no legal reason why I, Gabriel, may not be joined in matrimony, marriage, to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is the same thing as this one, right? The first sentence here. But this is a modern version, and you can choose which one you want to use, the traditional archaic version or the modern version. Or you can even have it this way. So the person marrying you, right, it's not a priest because you're not in a Catholic church. The registrar or the minister will ask, are you, Gabriel, free to lawfully marry whoever it is. And then I say, I am, right? And then at the end, you would say, I, Gabriel, take you, or I, Gabriel, take thee to be my wedded wife or husband if it's, however. You can also have a civil marriage that is 2 men, okay? Or you can have a civil marriage that is 2 women. So whichever it is, husband or wife. And you can choose between the words you and thee in this case. And then finally, at the end, they will say something else. There are so many versions, which is why I haven't included this top part here. There are so many versions for what the priest or the minister or the registrar says next. But at the end, they will say something like, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride, right? The bride is the wife on the wedding day. And pronounce, this is another speech act. It's just like, it's like saying declare. I now declare you husband and wife. I now pronounce you husband and wife. And you probably wouldn't ever use this word pronounce in that way in another conversation, okay? It's very much confined just to a wedding. It's just for weddings. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. And then, I don't know why he always says you may kiss the bride and not you may kiss the groom. But, it's traditional. Anyway, so if you want a free guide to learning English with songs, I have the perfect one for you. There's a link in the description, and you can get your 125-page guide to 101 songs to learn English. I give you exercises for 101 songs. You cannot afford to miss that. It is incredible. You will learn all the grammar points. Well, most of them, okay? You will learn a lot of grammar points in this if you just use this guide properly. And it's a fantastic resource for anyone. Just click the link in the description and get it. Please subscribe to this channel. Click the link, click the bell, click the notification bell so that you know when a new video comes out, a new lesson, okay? And check out my website, learningenglishpath.com, and I've got a lot of stuff on there that you might like if you want to take a course with me. Whether you are intermediate, beginner, advanced, if you want to get fluent in English, I have a lot of stuff for you. All right. So, hope you enjoyed this lesson. Keep learning, my friend, and keep going.